Hello all, good morning. So let's start today's session. Before we get into the details, let's have a quick recap of what all we learned yesterday. Like we have gone through the worker schedules and worker availability, right? And definition of the calendar events. And then we have seen eligibility profiles, derived factors, absence reasons, and yeah, eligibility profile, that's all. And then we were looking into the absence definitions of the absence plans. Okay, so before we proceed, actually I would like to let you know that somehow the calendar event is not working in our Transys instance. I'm not very sure. I have tried out various options. I have even checked with Gargi. So what we thought is we'll raise an ESSA for the same. But usually that is the way to define the calendar event and include it as an exception in the work schedule, so that it'll come in the availability of the worker screen, like that is a public holiday which is being defined, and it will be automatically considered it will automatically be reduced in the absence duration when we select the absence duration as days. Okay, so today we will go through in detail about the absence plans. Like yesterday we started with the creation of the absence plan of type accrual. Okay, so before getting into the details, is anybody having any questions on previous session, on yesterday's session? Um, so that we can clarify that thing and proceed for today's session.
Yes, Pushami wasn't here.
Yes, Basan, please tell me here.
Can you just log into the system?
Yeah.
Just want to go to the manage work shift page.
Okay, sure. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
just try to create a new one.
You want me to create a time shift?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Okay. Test, give some code. Start time is 7 a.m.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Duration. Here my question. Now give 9 hours.
Okay.
Automatically we'll get another options. Why you are not getting? Shift type flexible. Here out of this 9 hours, 1 hour is a lunch break.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what client mentioned, and they like to capture some of. Here we have an option. If we give add here, like flexible shift. No.
Okay. Shift start time.
Meal time. Flexible shift start meal. There's a third one.
Okay. Start meal time.
Okay. If I select this and like say start time is around day 1 and start time is around 12.
Okay. 12 p.m.
Here
Okay.
the question is
Uh-huh.
the total work hours is 9, including 1 hour lunch break.
Lunch break. Yeah. Fine. Okay.
When we give 1 hour here, then the duration field we have to give 8 or it should be 9 itself. How the system
See,
will work.
here you are defining only the meal time.
Yeah.
So it has to be 1.
Correct.
Here
1
you
hour
are,
duration.
yeah, 1 hour duration. 1 hour is the lunch break. Yeah. And here you will say core work is no. It is not the work time, right? It is the break time.
Yeah, this is what also I just want to know what we give N and what will happen for Y.
Actually, see, whenever you are defining a break time, you give it as N because it's not a core work time. It's not the time when you're working, right? It's a break time.
Okay. Yeah, this I've given. If that is the case, in the above duration we mentioned as 9 hours. So we have to change this that into 8, or it should be 9 itself.
It'll be 9. Complete shift is for
9
9 hours, in which you are defining what are your work
as
hours
1
and
hour.
what are your break hours. It is just for more
Fine.
detail, just in case you want to deduct those 1 hour, not to consider for, say if you're getting
Correct.
paid on your number of work hours, then there is a need to give all these details. So you don't want to pay the employees for that 1 hour, that 1 hour in which you are having a break. So then
Okay.
we give all these details. We can get all
Okay.
these details, yeah.
Fine, girl. My
Okay.
second, I have 2 more questions. Can we
Okay.
continue, or we can have the question till the end of the session?
Questions regarding which topic?
This is regarding the exception, work schedule.
Okay.
And the last one is on the calendar event.
Okay, okay. Please go on. Like again, we'll
Yeah,
not be coming back to this topic, right?
correct.
So, yeah.
Fine.
So you want
If you
me to
go
go
to
to
the
work
work schedule,
schedule?
yeah,
Okay.
please.
All right. Schedules or assignment?
Schedule.
All right. Mm-hmm.
Okay, fine. Create a schedule here, or you can go.
Oh, okay. You want me to search the
Fine.
existing one?
Just okay. This is fine.
Okay.
Here we'll give name, type, and those things
Yeah,
is fine.
yeah, yeah.
And we have to give the patterns which is already created,
Correct, correct.
and then we'll give the exceptions.
Exception.
Here,
Right, yeah.
correct.
Hmm.
Here we have 3 options. That
Hmm.
is calendar,
Hmm.
event, and the category.
Hmm.
Event category. The other one is the
Resource
uh,
exception. Resource exception.
here, calendar event. When we go to this particular task called manage calendar event, we will create these holidays like public holiday, national holiday,
Yeah,
and those things.
actually the seeded one,
Yeah.
the event category is only the public holiday. Okay, we can create our own categories, very
Correct.
specific, yeah.
First we'll go to the lookup, and then I'll create there as
Yeah,
what all the
yeah,
categories we
correct.
required.
Correct.
Then
But
I'll go
system
to the
doesn't consider that in the exception. It considers only the seeded category which is
is
provided
it?
by the system. Yes, because we have tried that
Okay.
out, but it doesn't work
Uh-huh.
out that. Yeah, there was some, I don't remember the exact requirement, but then there was a requirement, to have that as an exception. But then system doesn't consider any other category other than public holiday in the exception.
So
Even
we
though
are
we
forced to
create
make the category as public
public holiday,
holiday.
yeah, yeah. That is what
Oh,
I know it was so far, but I don't know now in release 10 or 11, like I was not sure because it was an enhancement request at that time, when we had the
fine.
requirement. Yeah,
If okay,
yeah,
fine.
okay, fine, yeah, go on, yeah.
If that is the case, like say now the issue is sorted out, and we can give all the calendar events here as exception.
Category, yeah,
Okay.
okay.
In calendar event, we'll create public holiday. Just stop. Okay. Public holidays and national holidays and these things. This is the calendar. When we define the calendar event, we are creating the public holidays. What is the name of the holiday? What is the category and date, time? Okay.
Okay, okay,
Here, that is called calendar event.
right,
And the category is something only we mention as public or national or
right,
season.
right.
So here, if you click on the type,
Mm-hmm.
just calendar event type.
Okay, calendar
Yeah.
event.
So calendar event, I understood we are bringing the particular
Specific
holidays
event, yeah, correct,
to bring under the calendar.
correct.
If an employee login and if he clicks on view calendar, there he can see what are the public holidays available
Available for him, yeah.
and calendar event category. Even if I select on calendar event category,
Uh-huh.
we still give the same, like say public holiday, and we define what is the
See, it's like,
start date.
yeah, event is like, say, in
Yes.
a particular
Okay.
location or under a country, there are 10 holidays. Okay.
Okay.
So we usually use this when I'm telling you, when we go for a specific calendar event. See, only 5 days are applicable to a person. Not all, 10 are public holidays, but only say he's a special, contract worker or some other category worker, wherein he is eligible only 5 days of public holidays, not all 10 days.
Okay.
So that is when we go for the calendar event option, where we go specifically and mention, okay, only he is eligible to, apply a holiday on a New Year Eve or Christmas Day, Ramzan, whatever. Only 5 days he is applicable. So we will give those exception here and we'll assign this work schedule to that particular person. Okay, calendar event is like we have more flexibility. We can have only, we can add whatever holiday we want to exclude from his duration calculation. Calendar event category is like all public holidays, all the holidays which are defined as public holidays or seasonal holidays. There are many different types, right? So all those will be excluded. It's not like we cannot exclude one single holiday from the employee. Okay.
Okay, now click on the name option.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, fine. So basically we are defining here to exclude those leaves, not only to bring this public holidays in the calendar
Correct.
as a
Exception.
or
Yeah.
I mean as a off.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
See, only these days will be off for the employee. Say I want only this particular employee or whatever particular set of department or a particular location to have only say first 4 days as a holiday. Rest all it is not applicable to them. Okay, then what we do is
Okay.
we'll go and include each and every holiday which we want as an exception. Means only the holidays which are applicable to the employee. That is how we go. I mean, this is
Okay.
more specific, when you want to, give only those days to a particular employee. It's more
So as you
specific.
said earlier, as we have an issue on the category, only public holidays is accepts.
Yeah.
So better we can give calendar event and bring all the events which have created.
Yeah, correct.
This is the other way of
Yeah, handling it.
giving
Yeah.
a solutions, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Correct. But
So what
nothing is
if we,
working as of now in our instance.
okay,
I'm not very sure. Yeah. Okay.
that's
Please.
fine.
Yeah.
So if we didn't give any event or a category here, this will not get reflected in the calendar.
Correct.
Because why
Only
I'm asking
Saturday
is
and
we are
Sunday.
already
Yeah.
we are creating the holiday calendar where we'll give what is the leave and what is the category and the date and time.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Unless
Correct?
and until you give it as an
Yeah.
exception here, it will not reflect in the employee's calendar.
Calendar. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
It will
So
take
other one.
only whatever is off days in the shift. Like Saturday and Sunday is off for an employee, only those days will be reflected in the shift, in the calendar of an employee. Yeah.
Okay. Fine.
Okay.
The last one.
Yeah.
While creating the calendar event, we are
Uh-huh.
giving the date and time.
Correct.
As you have created a, can you go to that page?
Yeah, sure. Okay, actually I have changed the date and time when I was trying many things. But usually we have to give it as a complete day. I changed it.
Sure.
Yeah.
12 to 11:59 you've given.
Yeah. That means it's
Okay.
a complete day is a
Now,
holiday. Yeah.
correct. The system will take the 24 hours calculation or the 12 hours calculations. This is my last question.
In the sense?
The sense
See,
like,
it'll see the shift hours. Like if the employee shift hours is falling in this time, then it will consider entire day as a holiday for the employee.
that's what I mean.
If
It
we
will
give
consider
on
the shift time.
shift hours, yeah,
For
correct.
an example, my client's shift time is 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Okay, if that is the case, we can give the timing as 7 to 4 or
Yeah.
it should be a day, 1 day calculations.
Usually we always give it as a day if to consider all different kinds of shifts. Okay. If you
Okay.
have only one shift employee, then you can give it those shift days only, shift hours. Sorry, shift timings. But it is
Okay.
always safe to give one complete day, yeah, 24 hours. Because public holiday will be for a complete day, right?
That's it, Pushami, from my side.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay, yeah, welcome. Chalo. Okay, done. So, so shall we proceed with the creation of the accrual plans like yesterday we were doing? Okay. So, okay, we'll go to, from the navigator, we'll go to the absence administration again. On the actually yesterday I forgot to tell you about the repeating time periods. It is okay. You need, there are already some seeded time periods which are provided by Oracle. Apart from that, if we want to create any repeating time, the repeating time periods, it's mainly for the accrual frequency, like whether your accrual is done on a daily basis or on a weekly basis or bi-weekly or monthly or yearly. So okay, that specifies the repeating time period. Okay, there are uh, already a lot of seeded repeating time periods which are given in the system. Apart from that, like if you see bi-weekly starting Monday, daily, okay, monthly accrual, all these are the seeded repeating time periods which are given. We can select any repeating time period which is satisfying our requirement. Like if the month employee is accruing on a daily basis, then we can select the repeating time period for accrual as daily. And if he is accruing on a monthly basis, then we can select it as monthly. Or if it is on a yearly basis, say if the employee will accrue on a yearly basis only for an year, then that particular option is not provided here. Then we need to go and create a yearly accrual repeating time period. Okay, I'll just show you how to create that repeating time period. Okay. Okay, this particular repeating time period we choose in our accrual, in our absence plan of type accrual. Okay, so it is very important. If we have any other repeating time period other than the one which is provided by the system, we should come here and create it. Okay, these are the actually fixed period types which are given by the system. We usually select period type as monthly, but here we can specify the period length. Okay, the period, like what will be the period length, whether it is a month or multiple months, quarter, semi-year or yearly. Say if the employee is accruing only on a yearly basis, okay, then we select it as year. So it will be enough if we run the accrual once a year. Okay, so the start date, accrual start date will be first of the year, and accrual end date will be the end of the year. Okay, so sample start date we can give it as 2015. So it will, this is the way we can create our own repeating time period. Okay, it is a very simple step. We will create it only if it is required, because most of the criteria which is required by most of the clients, the requirement is already given, like they have daily and monthly accrual processing period and also weekly. Okay, so once we are done with the repeating time periods, let us proceed with the creation of the absence plan like we were doing it yesterday. Okay, first today, now initially we'll look into the absence plan of type accrual, and then we'll look into the qualification as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and create the accrual. Okay, United Arab Emirates. Here the type will be accrual. Continue. Vacation plan. I'm just quickly proceeding because we have gone through this particular screen yesterday. If you have any doubts, you can just stop me. I'll again explain you. It's not a problem. Okay. So plan attributes, it's a very simple screen, not much of information here. Okay. So this is important, like I mentioned yesterday, plan UOM, unit of measure. This and the absence type unit of measure should match, otherwise system will throw an error. Okay, so once this is done, we'll go to the participation. Okay, enrollment start rule, I'm selecting it as of event. There is no waiting period. Okay, so is the screen clear? Any further explanation you want? I hope you remember. Like the enrollment start date is like when the employee has to be enrolled into the plan. As of event, it will look like whenever the employee is hired into the system, then the employee will be enrolled. Say if you want the employee not to be enrolled immediately, he has to be enrolled only after certain period, then you have to have then you can give a waiting period. Or if you have any specific rule, like the employee needs to be enrolled into the plan only after he completes his probation period, then we have to use a formula, because probation period is not standard for everybody. So we have to use a formula wherein we need to check, okay, if the employee is having any probation period, then enroll the employee only after that period is done. Okay, so this is that enrollment rules section. And in the termination rules, we have enrollment end rule, like when the enrollment should be end dated. Okay, as of event, there can be two events, like when the employee is terminated, the enrollment will be automatically end dated, and when the employee has lost the eligibility of the plan. Like if we associate any eligibility profile to this particular plan, then like I was telling you yesterday, if the employee is promoted or demoted, if it is based on a grade, then he is losing the eligibility. Then what should happen in those two cases? This is what these two check boxes are saying. Okay, usually we check these options only when the employee is terminated, like disburse positive balance and recover negative balance. We usually don't check these check boxes on loss of plan eligibility. It all depends on the requirement, but I'm telling you very generic case and what all the cases which we have faced so far in the implementation. Usually when the employee loses the eligibility of the plan, we don't disburse the balance because he's still in the system and he will still be eligible for some other plan. So what we do is we usually do the adjustments in the balance. Okay, that is how we work it out. Okay, so this is about this section, and if you want to restrict this plan to be applicable to only certain set of employees, then we give an eligibility profile here. Otherwise, it is not a mandatory step. Okay, so these two screens, we have seen it yesterday. Now today we'll go into the main screen, accrual screen. There's lot of flexibility and lot of things which are given here for us. Okay, so first we'll see the accrual attributes. Okay, so accrual definition, what does this mean? Like whether you want to include the like in eBiz, if we can see, we used to give the accrual bands. Like so if we take it based on length of service, say employee from 0 to 5 years is eligible to have 20 days of entitlement, from 5 to 10 years it is 22. Okay, like that we used to give all the bands. Okay, so we can decide whether we want to give that in a matrix. Matrix means again we'll give a criteria here. Okay, or which here we can give the criteria here in this section. Or if you want to include everything in the formula, there is nothing you want to give it in the matrix, you want to handle everything in your own formula, then you can write your own formula. Okay, you can have a UDT defined, or you want to capture, or it is very simple, straightforward, it is coming from a assignment DFF or some other place, then you can handle everything in your fast formula. Okay, so and you can do all the proration, everything in your fast formula. The formula type will be the global absence accrual formula. Okay, so we usually, when the requirement is very simple and straightforward, we usually go for like the matrix wherein we have a lot of flexibility. Okay, and if like if the entitlement for a particular employee is not there in any of the criteria, like it is not based on a grade, or it is not based on any job position or any other criteria, it is fixed value or coming from somewhere else in the assignment screen or person screen, then we usually go for the formula. Okay, we can do everything in a formula. It is very much flexible. Okay, I'll explain you in detail about the fast formulas when we have a fast formula session. Okay, now we will include everything in the matrix. Okay, so that we'll see what all criteria we can give here for defining the entitlements. Okay, and here the payment percentage. Okay, so usually this is it comes into it makes sense only when we are having sick leave or unpaid leave or maternity. Usually for annual leave or the vacation or the privilege leave, the payment, like there will be no deduction, right? Usually the employee will be paid. It is a holiday with payment, right? So usually we keep it as 100%. That means the employee will be paid in full, right? So if there is any other criteria, like if you don't want to pay the employee when he's on holiday, then we usually go and change the percentage here, but usually it is 100%. Okay, and next comes the accrual method. Okay, there are only two options here. Accrual method, either it can be incremental or front loaded. What do you mean by front loaded? That means, say, if an employee is eligible for 21 days of leave in a year. Okay, so front loaded means the employee will get all the 21 days at one shot when the employee is enrolled into the plan or at the beginning of the accrual year. Okay, so the employee will see how many number of leaves he is having for the entire year on the first day itself, on the first day of the accrual year itself. Okay, this is about the front loaded. And incremental means, as the name says, the employee will accrue depending upon the accrual frequency. If it is daily, he will see his daily balance. Like today it is 0.5, tomorrow it is 1, something like that, depending upon the number of leaves he'll get for the year. Okay, so usually it can be, there are only two options here. It can be incremental or front loaded. Okay, front loaded means the employee will get all the leaves at one shot. Incremental means the employee will accrue depending upon the accrual processing frequency. Okay, this is about the accrual method. Now we have here the accrual frequency source. Okay, this is where we select the repeating time periods that we have defined in our previous step. Okay, the seeded, by default, the one which comes up is the person primary frequency, which means it will take the frequency from the payroll which is associated to the employee. Okay, either it can be a monthly payroll, weekly payroll, bi-weekly payroll, depending upon the payroll which we define. Okay, but Oracle, they themselves suggest not to use this person primary frequency. We have faced a lot of issues, but I'm not very sure if they are fixed now. But we usually don't use person primary frequency. It says some problem while transferring the information to payroll. Usually that's what it says. So we usually go for a repeating time period, because in repeating time period again we have all the options available. Okay, so we have various options here. If you want your accrual to be bi-weekly starting Monday, daily. Okay, so we can select whatever option depending upon the requirement. Like few clients, they have gone for a daily requirement, a daily accrual. It is very rare, only one of the clients we have seen doing a daily accrual. Most of the clients, they go for monthly accrual processing frequency. That means the accrual will happen every month. Okay, all right, is it clear so far here? Now, so we have seen payment percentage, accrual method, accrual frequency, repeating time period. Okay, so after that we have something called as accrual proration rule. Okay, so usually this we use only for an incremental. I mean this particular see, usually it is FT, full-time equivalent, or it can be the formula. Full-time equivalent, like for part-timers we give it the full-time equivalent as 0.5, and for full-timers it will be 1, right? Or we mention this at the assignment screen. this particular definition of this particular detail. So what will happen is the entitlement which the employee is entitled to get will get prorated accordingly. Okay, and this particular thing will be executed only when the accrual method is incremental. Okay. Alright, so this is about the accrual proration rule. You can even have a formula. Say you are having a specific rule for the proration of the entitlement when the employee joins in mid of the month, then we can have our own formula to have the proration. Say if somebody wants to prorate based on working days, somebody wants to want to prorate the value on calendar days. So it all depends on the requirement. So we usually define this proration formula only when we select the accrual method as incremental. It holds good only for accrual method as incremental, like when you are accruing every accrual period. Okay, so this is about the accrual proration formula. It will be global absence accrual proration formula type. So it is also very flexible. We can do whatever calculation we want depending upon the requirement. Okay, so and this is about the proration rule. Okay, this we usually use for full timers and part timers. Okay, so far the requirement was like that only. And next comes here, you have something called as partial accrual period formula. Okay, again this holds good, or this will come into picture only when we select the accrual method as front loaded. Okay, this particular formula, it's again a formula, okay, past formula. This formula will be executed only when the accrual period, or the accrual start date or end date, the employee enrollment start date or end date falls within the accrual period. Say employee has joined in mid of the month. Okay, mid of the period, mid of the month, and the accrual method is front loaded. Only at that particular case, this partial accrual period formula will get executed. Okay, and it will prorate the value accordingly and return the prorated value. Okay, similar case is when the employee is terminated in mid of the period. Okay, so only in that case, so there are only two situations or two cases when this partial accrual period formula will be executed. It will not be executed, or it will not be called all the time. It will be called only when the employee enrollment start date is in the mid of the accrual start date and end date. Okay, and when the employee enrollment end date is in between the accrual start date and end date. Okay, these are the only cases. Whereas the proration rule or the proration fast formula will be executed all the time, every month or every accrual period. Okay, so this is about the accrual proration rule, partial accrual period formula. Okay, and next comes the accrual vesting rule. Okay, what does vesting mean? As vesting itself says, it's a waiting period. It's not exactly the waiting period. Here we have seen in participation, we have seen waiting period. In waiting period, it's like the employee is not eligible to be enrolled into the plan. In vesting, what happens is the employee will be enrolled and he will be accruing the accruing the entitlement, but he is not eligible to avail that balance. See, the system will show the balance as say whatever balance he has. If we take front loaded, it will show that he has accrued 22 days of leave for that year, but he is not eligible to use that balance. So okay, so unless and until the employee completes 6 months in our system, in our organization, the employee is not eligible to use his entitlement. In that case, we define a accrual vesting rule. Okay, it can be a fixed period. Okay, we can give a duration, or we can have a formula. Okay, so this is about the accrual vesting rule. You got the difference between waiting period and vesting, right? In waiting period, the employee will not at all be enrolled into the plan. Whereas in vesting rule, the employee will be enrolled into the plan, but enroll into the plan, and he will be accruing the amount, but he will not be allowed to apply for a leave and use that balance. Okay, so this is all about this section, like accrual attributes. So we have accrual proration rule, accrual method, partial accrual formula, vesting rule, and repeating period, accrual frequency source. Okay, now we will go on to this plan limits. It is very similar to our EBIS, like wherein we define the ceiling and carryover. Okay, for ceiling we have different options, like include in the matrix. We'll add a field into the matrix like ceiling. Okay, if you have any very specific rule, like ceiling has to be so and so based on the grade. No, based on the position, the ceiling can be more. So if you have any specific rule, then again you can go for a fast formula, or else you just say include in the matrix if it is fixed for everybody. Okay. Again, for even the ceiling can be prorated. Okay, depending on the FT or the formula. Okay, if there is nothing, you just mention it as none. Similarly, we have carryover rule. Okay, so we usually, for most of the clients, we have gone for a formula, because like it will be some 6% of the entitlement, or 6% of the remaining balance, or 6% of the some percentage, certain percentage. Hello, are you able to hear me now? I think there was some network issue. Okay, so yes, hello, are you able to hear me? Okay. Okay, I hope you heard till carryover rule, right? I mean, I'm not very sure if you have missed in if anything in between. So, shall I proceed?
Yes, yes, Pushpa.
Okay, fine. So I'm sorry, I got a message that your connection has lost. That's why I stopped in between. Okay, fine. Let's continue. Now we were at the carryover rule. Like if it is simple and straightforward, if it is a flat amount, then we can directly include that in the matrix. Okay, so carryover will come here, or else if it is based on certain rule, certain, like for certain grades they can carry over so much of leave. For certain grades they cannot carry over any amount. Okay, if it is very specific, then we can go ahead with the formula. Okay, it will be again global absence accrual carryover formula. Okay, so that is also flexible. For most of the clients we have gone with the formula because they have very specific requirement of to for the carryover rule. For sealing we didn't have any specific requirements. Okay, so as of now I'll say include in the matrix. Okay, again we can even prorate the carryover based on the full-time equivalent. Okay, and this checkbox, if you can see, carryover expires after specific time. Okay, if the employee has to use all his carried over balance within say till March or within certain duration, then we can specify the number of days or months or years or weeks. Okay, and we don't have any flexibility of writing a formula here. Okay, so it is a fixed duration, whether either it can be 1 month or 2 months or any number of days. Okay, so if you have any specific requirement like it has to expire, the carryover has to expire within specific time, then we give it as say if it has to expire within March, then we say 3 months. Okay, so and this is about the carryover, this is about sealing. Now we have allow negative balance. Okay, so this is one more important thing, like if you want the employees to take take absences beyond their entitlement, then you can leave this checkbox as it is. And if there is a limit, okay, if there is a limit, say you want to allow the employees to take only 5 days, more than his entitlement, actual entitlement, then you can give the negative balance limit as 5 days. And if you don't want to allow the employees to take any absence beyond their entitlement, beyond what they are actually entitled to, then it is very important to check this checkbox and give the value as 0. Otherwise what happens is, by default, if we leave this checkbox unchecked, system will allow the employee to take as many number of days. It doesn't put any restriction. Okay, even if the employee has crossed his entitlement limit, system will allow him. So when you want to restrict the employee to apply leaves more than not to apply leaves more than his actual entitlement, then it is very important that we check this checkbox and mention the value as 0 if we don't want the employee to exceed his entitlement. Okay, this is all about the accrual attributes and then plan limits, this section. Okay, now let's go ahead and create the accrual matrix. Okay, I'm clicking on create. Attribute vesting period formula, sorry, none. Repeating period and the matrix, none. Okay, create. Okay, so here we have something called as expression builder. If you can see here, we have 3 different tabs like operators, entities and derived. Okay, we'll go through each and everything in detail once. We have something called as entities. Entities are the ones which are related to the person. We can see here hire date, department, job, position, grade, location, legal employer. Okay, we have only these particular values available, based on which we can define our criteria. Say if we are saying defining our matrix based on a grade, okay, then what we have to do is we just need to select and insert into the expression. Okay, so it will insert this, okay, equal to, say, give whatever grade. Okay, so that means we are defining this particular matrix for this grade. So accrual rate, see if we have selected front loaded, then we'll give the entitlement for the complete year, say 21 or 22, 24, whatever. Okay. If we have selected here incremental, then we have to give and selected the accrual frequency as monthly accrual frequency. Then what is that you have to give here is that period accrual. Okay, so if you have selected it as incremental and the repeating period is monthly, that means the employee will accrue 2 days for the month. Okay, So we have to keep this in mind when we are giving the accrual rate. If we have selected front loaded, then we have to give the entire entitlement for the year. Okay, and ceiling depending upon their limit, and carryover you can. Okay, and here we have something called as the accrual formula. Again, we usually will not write any of these formula. There are so many formula which they have mentioned here in this accrual attributes. We usually don't go for any of the formula because they are not mandatory, and we can handle everything, all the proration, the partial period accrual, everything we can handle within our accrual formula. This is global absence accrual matrix formula. We can do, I mean, it is so flexible that we can do anything and everything within this formula. Okay, it has got a lot of flexibility, and we have incorporated a lot of complex logic through this accrual formula. Okay, so there is no need to worry about all these formulae. Just we can handle. We can handle all the logic. Yeah, definitely we'll have one session on fast formulas because it is very important. Yeah, I'll definitely take you through the fast formulas. In Fusion, it is like the lot of flexibility is given. Yeah, of course, when compared to EBIS, it is little simple things become complicated, but still within that they have given a lot of flexibility. Okay, we'll definitely have one session on fast formulae. It will be very interesting. Okay, and we can do a lot of things within one formula in Fusion. So, no need to worry, okay, the logic is complex, how can we do this? Is no problem at all. We can, handle most of the things in our formula. Like there'll be a requirement there will be a requirement, like whenever the employee is on unpaid leave, the entitlement, I mean the employee should not accrue. We cannot do it straightforward. We cannot have a rule directly in our in our matrix to not for the employee not to accrue. So we handle that in the actual matrix formula, wherein we can refer to the absences within the accrual period. Save the employee, we can go and check if the employee is on unpaid leave. Okay, so for how many days he is on unpaid leave, then don't accrue for those many days. We can have that logic. We can refer to any screen in accrual formula and accrual matrix formula. Like we can go and see the person details, like we can refer to the person details database items, we can refer to the assignment, we can refer to the absences, we can refer to element entries, anything. We can have a lot of we can do lot of things here. Okay, so this is all about it, and I'll also show you how to create criteria based on length of service. Okay, if you see, we have created one derived factor before coming into this. Like in yesterday's session, we have created length of service. See, length of service will directly not be available here, so we have to go to the derived factors. Okay, so just if we define the derived factors, then rest all will be the same. You can insert it into the expression, and we can have our conditions. Okay, length of service. Okay, insert into the expression, and we have, if you're not so sure of the operators, like it is like a little case sensitive, and has to be capital or has to be capital. This particular thing is a little case sensitive, so it is always safe to use these particular operators. Okay, we have greater than or equal to. Okay, greater than or equal to 0, and we have and. Okay, so we usually use directly insert it into the expression rather than writing it, because sometimes what happened, it throws an error when we type it in. So we can actually type in, but it is always more safe to use these operators and insert it into the expression, so that the the expression builder gets executed properly. So that is a little lengthy process, but yeah, we usually follow this one. Less than or equal to. Okay, less than or equal to 5. Okay. We cannot have these two criteria together, but I'm just telling you that we can have, I mean, this is the way we do it. Okay, so this is all about the accrual matrix. So are you clear so far in this screen? Because there are a lot of things here, uh, and don't worry about all these formulae and all. Just we'll concentrate on the accrual matrix formula because we can handle everything in this formula. Main thing which we have to remember is this accrual method, and if you have any accrual vesting rule and carryover rule. Okay, if you have any specific carryover based on specific logic, then we have to have it here. Okay, and this is also very important. We didn't know this before when we were doing it initially, that we have to check it and give it as 0. We thought, okay, if we leave it unchecked, then the system will not allow. But by default, system will allow you to take more number of leaves than your actual entitlement. So in order to restrict the employees, we have to check this checkbox and give it 0 here. Okay, this is all about this screen. Now we'll go to the entries and balances. Okay, so we have two options here, like if you can see balance updates, like discretionary disbursement of accrual balance. Okay, what does this mean? Like it is like leave encashment. If the employee wants to avail encash all his leaves in mid of the year, say after accruing 40 leaves so far, he wants to encash all those leaves, then we can have this option like discretionary disbursement of balance. Then it'll give you an option in the accrual screen of the employee, wherein you can disburse the balance whatever amount, number of days you want to give encash to the employee. Okay, and accrual balance transfers across plans. Okay, by checking this option, what we can do is we can transfer the balance from one accrual plan to the another accrual plan. Okay, this usually we had this requirement in one of our client, wherein they want to, like, there are two types. One is privilege, other is I don't remember exactly. Like once the employee has run out of balance in the other accrual plan, then he is allowed to transfer his privilege leave into the other, into his other plan, so that he can avail those days in that plan. Okay, so we usually, if we check this option, then the employee can transfer the balance from one plan to the other plan. And other adjustments, yeah, we usually do check this. Okay, and we have adjustment reasons. These are the seeded adjustment reasons which are given by Oracle. There is a lookup wherein we can go and add further reasons which will come up here. Then once you add your reasons, then you need to come and add it here, so that they'll be available in the accrual screen of the employee. Okay, so this is about the carryovers, adjustments, balance updates. Now rates. Okay, this and this particular thing come into picture when you are actually integrating the absences to the payroll. When you are not integrating absences to the payroll, integrating in the sense when you are not transferring the absence information to the payroll, then there is no need to set up this particular section. But just in case, if we are, for most of the leaves we do set this up. So like I was telling, rate definition, see here we do have options, but none of them work. It is very mandatory that we associate a rate definition. Okay, so I will, as I mentioned to you before, we'll go into the detail of the rate definition on the day when we start with the payroll session, so that we'll get more clarity. Okay, so for the time being, I have created one rate, so I'm just associating it. Okay. Final disbursement rate rule, like when the employee is terminated, at what rate do you want to pay the employee? Okay. Discretionary disbursement, like when you are encashing on the employee, then what is the rate you want to pay? Okay. And liability, if you are calculating any liability like monthly accrual, usually the employers will accrue for absence payment and keep it aside, right? So for that calculation of the liability. Okay, so payroll integration. So transfer absence payment for payroll processing. Yes, we want to transfer. So actually before we actually set this option, we need to create the absence element in payroll. The type will be absence, and there are a lot of options which we need to select in that based on the accrual plan. Like if for accrual there will be different options, for qualification there will be different options, for entitlement, no entitlement, there will be different options and different, and I mean system will generate lot of setup, lot of elements, lot of formulae. Okay, so we'll go into the detail when we come into the payroll. Okay, so but it is important that we create the absence element before integration, before doing this particular setup. Okay, so this is all about the entries and balances screen section. So I hope these things are clear so far. Okay, so I'm just save and close. Okay, so whenever next time when we are going and adding or correcting the absence plan, it is very important that we change this date to the date when the plan is created. And if we want to add new, new accrual band, then it is very important that you change this effective date and also go in correction mode. Even though the system shows up the January, I mean the start date as here, sometimes what happened in the back end, it gets stored as on the sys date. So the things doesn't get executed properly. So it is very important to note these two things like session effective date and always go in correct mode. Okay, so this ends our absence plans, accrual plans basically. Okay, now as we have done this, I'll show you the qualification plan once we create the absence type, so that one flow will be completed. Okay, then I'll show you what all we can do in the qualification plan. All right, so shall we proceed for absence types? Okay, so when you compare the absence type from EBIS to Fusion, there's actually a lot of change and a lot of advanced features which are given in creation of an absence type. There's a lot of change which we can do in terms of look and feel, and in terms of the validations which we can perform, at the entry level, and the occurrences of absences. There is a lot of flexibility, and there's a lot of change in look and feel which we have, which Oracle has given in Fusion absence types. Okay, so now let's go into the detail. Okay, let's go into the detail of creation of the absence types. Okay, absence type is like the final setup which we do, wherein we associate all the elements which we have created so far, like the absence reasons, absence certifications, and the absence plans, eligibility profiles, and even before creating the absence type, if we have any validation, specific validations like in terms of entry, when the employee is entering an absence, you want to do certain validations. If you see in EBIS, there was like BG absence duration or core absence duration past formula, wherein we used to do the duration and also the validations. Now there are two separate entities together. Now we have two different formulae, like the global absence type duration and global absence entry validation. Now the thing has been split into two different sections. Okay, we have one called as duration. Like if we see, we have a lot of flexibility in duration. We can either select calendar days, hours, weeks, years. Apart from that, if you want any other requirement of converting a duration, then we can write our own fast formula. Okay, like for part-timers or different shifts, if the employee is working on different shift, then get their shift times and do something on the duration, absence duration, then we can do all that in our global absence type duration. And if you want to perform certain validations, like employee is eligible to take certain leave only once in 3 months, or only once in a year. Okay, something like that. If you want to do any entry validations, we can perform all those validations through global absence type entry validation formula. Okay, so now let's get into the detail of the absence type. Yeah, and we have pattern here: generic absence, illness or injury, childbirth or placement. Um, Okay, actually generic we use it for most of the absence types, even if it is sick leave, even if it is maternity leave. We usually use, so far what we have done, we used only generic absence, the pattern as generic absence. But we do have specific patterns for sick leave, or injury leave, work accident leave, and childbirth or placement. Okay, actually this mainly what happens is, whenever you select this pattern, some additional fields like date fields and additional validation fields will be enabled in our absence type screen. Okay, which are very specific to the requirement. Like childbirth, you can like have planned dates or the expected dates and the actual dates of childbirth. Okay, and option also exists to track additional details of maternal, prenatal and postnatal conditions when we select childbirth or placement. Illness or injury is like this pattern has additional configurable attributes, including dates to track the onset of an illness or injury, and the ability to explicitly link absences together. Okay, frankly speaking, I have never used these two patterns. We always go for generic absence. Okay, so when I kind of explore these two patterns, I'll definitely let you know. Okay, as of now, for all the absences, we usually go for generic absence. Okay, so we again have here 4 different tabs. Okay, let us go into the detail of each and every tab. Okay, we can give any name, and here unit of measure. This if you are associating the absence type to absence plan, then both the unit of measure have to match. Alright, so calendar days, as the name says, it doesn't exclude the holidays and weekends from the duration calculation. It just gives the difference between the end date and start date. Usually unpaid leave. For this we select calendar days. Okay, and days. This is when all our setup related to the work schedule and work schedule exception assignment will come into the picture. Okay, only when we select the unit of measure as days, then the employee's work schedule will be executed. Okay, and even when we are entering the absence on a holiday or on a weekend for an employee, it will say the absence start date has to be a scheduled work day. It doesn't let the employee enter an absence on a holiday or on a weekend for the employee. Okay, so this is about the unit of measure. Legislative data group we select, and we set the status to active. Okay, so these were the formula which I was talking about, like the conversion formula. is nothing but the duration formula. Okay, and then validation formula, like if you want to perform certain validations and throw an error message. Okay, error message is only possible, warning is not possible through the validation formula. Okay, we can perform the validations and just throw an error message. Okay, eligibility profile, again if you want to restrict this a particular absence type to be eligible for certain set of employees, then we give the eligibility profile here. Okay, so this is general attributes. Now if we go to duration rules, we have minimum duration alert and maximum duration alert. Okay, so if we this is like for one occurrence at one time, what is the number of leaves an employee can enter in maximum. Okay, so if we take say any leave, paternity leave, the employee is eligible to take only 3 days of leave at a stretch. Okay, then we can have a maximum duration alert. Okay, either it can be an error or it can be a warning. Okay, in case you want to throw an error and not allow the employee to submit, then we say it is an error. Like I was telling you yesterday, the case of sick leave where the certification has to be made mandatory after employees taking more than 3 days of leave, like we couldn't achieve it because the certification can either be made completely mandatory or non-mandatory. What we did is we made it as a warning. Okay, maximum duration is like 3 days. Okay, so when employee is applying for more than three days, what is that it do is it will throw a warning message. Okay, actually there are seeded messages. We can go and customize that message. I mean, go and change the message display. Okay, so this is the maximum what we could achieve. Okay, so you can give both minimum duration alert, like minimum of 1-2 days the employee has to take, depending on the requirement. Okay, so it can be, and this is for one occurrence, like it will not check for entire occurrences. It is only for one occurrence. Okay, and this is another thing called as partial day rule. It is like not allowed or unlimited. If we say not allowed, then what happens, the system will not allow the employee to take a part day leave. Like if you have a concept of allowing the employee to go on go on half day leave or 2 hours or 3 hours, then you can set it as unlimited. Okay, or if you don't want the employee to allow any part day, enter half day or a part day, then set it to not allowed. Okay, and again we have something called as absence record maintenance. Enable employee updates, enable manager updates, enable administrative updates. Okay, there are three levels or three levels wherein the absences can be entered. The employee himself can enter, the supply manager, the supervisor can enter, or a HR admin can enter. Okay, say unpaid leave. You don't want the employee to because unpaid leave means the employee didn't or didn't inform and he is on leave, so just like that. So what will happen, either a line manager or a HR admin will go and apply that kind of leave. So such leaves, you say you don't check this checkbox, enable employee updates. If you want employee to enter those leaves, then you check these checkboxes. Unless and until this is checked, the absence will not be accessible for these levels. Okay, if you don't want employee to enter certain kind of leave, then uncheck this checkbox. Okay. Okay, so and then we have another 3 checkboxes here. Log if confirmed by the employee. What happens is, if we check this checkbox, the absence will no more be editable at any level. Okay, so like if the employee has by mistake entered certain duration as absence, and whereas ideally after going to the approval, manager realizes no, that he didn't enter the absence correctly. The manager will not be able to edit it, and even the employee will not be able to edit it at that time. Then once it is confirmed, that's it, it gets logged. You'll not be able to edit it. So we usually don't check these check boxes we'll leave it as it is. And enable for time card entry. This is mainly comes into picture with OTL. Okay, Fusion OTL. Okay, this is all about this particular screen. Okay, and this is the place where we link the plans and reasons. Vacation. Okay, so we can have multiple plans associated, and it works based on the priority. Okay, the lower the priority, lower the number, higher priority it takes. Like the first, all the entitlement from this plan will be used up. Once it is exhausted, then it will go into the another plan. So we can associate multiple absence plan to one absence type. Okay, and then we can associate absence reason. Okay, default no linkage reason. This linkage reason comes into picture when we are actually using illness or injury, wherein we can, that's what I read only the theory, but I never did it. We can actually link different absences if we select the pattern as illness or injury. Okay, fine. So this is the place where we have linked the absence plan to the absence type. And that's how absence type is indirectly related to the payroll element. In EBIS, if we see directly, we used to associate absence type to a payroll element, but here it's not like that. Absence type is linked to the absence plan, and absence plan is linked to the absence element. Okay, so this is about plans and reasons section. Now we go to display features. No, we cannot, like the question is it possible to assign multiple absence elements to one absence, what is the question? One absence, no. We can associate, as we have seen in that screen, there is only one, we can select only one absence element to an absence plan. Okay. So it's not possible to associate multiple elements to an absence plan. It's only one element, one plan. But one absence type, multiple absence plans. Okay. Now, yeah. In display features, there are a lot of flexibility, you can say, which they have given. Okay. First, we see the primary absence details. Okay, here, like for everything there are 3 levels. Like we can change the look and feel at all the 3 levels. Like we can, how you want to see the absence type at employee self-service level, like when the employee is entering the absence; at manager level, when the manager is approving or manager is entering the absence on behalf of employee; and administrative transaction. Okay. So it all depends on the requirement. We usually like employee self-service, like reason, display and edit. Here we have do not display, display only, display and edit, entry required. So depending on the requirement, we can make it. Okay, display and edit. Attachments. Attachments is like the certifications. Okay, enabled. Okay, this we usually enable for sick leave, wherein sick leave or maternity or whatever, wherein the employee has to attach the certificate to them. Okay, so comments we'll say do not display, or we can say display only, display and edit, display and edit. Okay, okay. This is about the display. Primary absence details. Now actually somehow this never came up, and it doesn't, this is for qualified entitlements. Usually even for qualified absence plan, this particular section has never come up. I have never seen this thing coming up. So even I'm not sure what information comes up here in the qualified entitlement section. Okay, next we'll see the approval and processing rules. This is one very important section wherein the approval of absences, okay, will work. Like even if we set the approval rule in the BPM, okay, in the task configurator, unless and until we enable the approval here, the absence will not go for approval. Okay, so deferred processing on initial entry. So we usually like only on the first entry of the absence, it will not go for any approval. Okay, on the initial absence entry, and from there on it will go for approval. Only when you want to check whether the, how is the absence working and all, then we enable it. Usually we don't enable it. Okay, additional payload attribute, even I'm not really sure, only option available here is not specified. I exactly don't know. The only things which we usually change is like approvals processing. Like what should happen when the employee is entering the absence, okay, whether it should go for approval or not. Okay, we always enable it at the employee level. Okay, when manager is entering the absence for an employee on behalf of an employee, whether again you want to say if the approval is not going to the manager, if the absence type, okay, if the approval it is going to certain group of employees, then you enable this. Okay, if it is going to the manager itself, then there is no need to enable it. Okay, so we usually set it to not enabled at both manager, self-service and admin when the HR admin is entering absences on behalf of the employee. Okay, so this is on the approvals processing. Approvals reset on update, like whenever the, like was telling a case when the employee enters a leave and manager rejects it and it comes back to the employee and employee has edited his leave. Like what should happen when the employee updates the leave? Okay, then again it should go for approval, like when the employee is entering. If you want to enable, at these two levels, we can enable it. It is not a mandatory thing to do, but we usually enable it at the employee level. Okay, so we can restrict the approval here itself, like at the, like who is the point of entry. On based on that, we can restrict the approvals, whether it should go for approval or it should not go for approval. Unless and until this is enabled here, it will not go for approval. Okay, so if you don't want a certain absence to go for any kind of approval, then you just set it to not enabled here. That particular absence itself will not go for approval. No need to check it in our approval rule. If absence type is this, then don't send for approval or auto approve. Okay. Yeah, and so this is on the approval rules. Now we'll go to the projected balance. Here again we have three sections. Insufficient balance enrollment. Like we have seen the absence plan, accrual plan screen, wherein we have checked that what to say, allow negative balance checkbox, right? So it is very, even though we have set a rule there, it is very important that we enable it here. Okay, insufficient balance enrollment rule. Say if it is left not enabled, then what will happen is that rule itself will not trigger. Even though the employee is taking more than what he is entitled to, if we don't enable this particular thing here, system will allow the employee to take the leave. So it is very important that we enable it here. So if we want to give it as an exception, say if the manager wants to give it as an exception to the employee, then we make it not enabled. Okay, but we usually enable, since a rule is a rule, we usually enable it at all the levels. Okay, if we leave it not enabled, even though we check the checkbox there, that particular trigger will not fire. Okay, so it is very important to check make it enabled here in the absence type. Okay, and then this is again another advanced features which they have given for absence. Okay, and now late notification evaluation. Say if an employee is applying for a leave at a later date, he has already gone on leave today or 2 days back, but he didn't inform, he is informing the manager only after coming back. Now when so what should happen in that case? The employee, either the employee should not be allowed to apply or the manager should be notified, something like that. Okay, that particular check we can have, simple check. If it is a simple check, then we can have it here. We have this edit button. Okay, operator type. See, we have various options. Okay, if it is later than absence start date. Okay, so if the absence is being captured in the system, okay, plus 2 days or say 5 days. Yes. Okay, what will happen? Okay, if the manager, sorry, if the employee has gone on leave, okay, and he is informing only after say 6th day. See, here we have keep say absence later than 5 days, absence started plus 5 days. Okay, so if the employee is trying to enter the absence in the system by himself after 5 days of the absence start date, then system will not allow him to apply a leave. Okay, so obviously he has to go and inform his manager. Okay, here what we are doing is we are restricting the employee. Okay, this is what about the late notification? Then when this condition satisfies, system will throw an error. Okay, that you have, you didn't apply the leave on time. So there will be a certain message. We can change the message and give a proper message like, please inform the manager. Manager has to enter on their behalf. Okay, so this is the particular flexibility which they have given at the entry level. Okay, this particular check happens at the entry level. Only if you want to restrict the employee from capturing the absence at a later date. Okay. And here this is about late notification, and after giving this you need to enable it. Whether, I mean, where is that you want to enable it? Like if you want to set this rule only at the employee level, enable it at the employee level. Okay. Then we have something called as occurrence limit. Like occurrence limit is like if you want, say, Hajj leave, if you take Hajj leave, it is allowed only once in a lifetime in the service, once in the service in that organization, right? So if you want to restrict the employee to take a leave only once in his entire service period, then you can what to say, mention it here. Okay, you have current calendar, or we have even the flexibility, like if you want to take, if you want that employee to take only one leave in that in year, that should be only occurred only once in a year, we have that flexibility, like in the current calendar year, okay, current calendar month, or in the entire employment and rolling back period. Okay, so we have this flexibility if you want to restrict the employee from entering their absences. Okay, so we usually did this for Hajj leave, like in the entire employment, the employee has to enter only one, I mean, has to take only one leave. Okay, so rolling back period, we can say from the absence start date, we have to go back to those many days and check if you want to check. Okay, so there's a lot of flexibility which they have given in terms of the occurrence limit. And again, it is very important that you go and enable this particular, at what level you want this validation to fire. Okay, and the outcome will be an error if it is not a warning. We cannot change it to warning. It is all the time error if the validation fails. Okay, absence start date, there's nothing. Planned absence end date, like if you want to say if the employee is going on open-ended, like he is not sure when he is going to return back, then you enable this section, this particular. As of now, it is do not display. Override daily rule, it is not enabled for us to change anything. Advanced absence entry rule, yeah. Actually, once you enable this, Actually, there is a requirement. There can be, we haven't implemented it so far, but what happens is when you enable this particular advanced absence entry tab, entry rule here, what will happen is there will be a special icon or there will be a button in our absence entry screen, okay, wherein we can go and capture the absence against specific job, specific assignment. There are various options which it gives. Say if the employee is working on multiple assignments, then being in the same assignment, we can go and capture the absence against different assignments. That's what is the flexibility which they have given. But frankly speaking, I never implemented it. So I always make it not enabled. Okay, open-ended. Okay, sorry. Yeah, this is the open-ended absence. Okay, like I was telling about this planned absence. Actually, these two will be in sync. Like when the employee is not sure, of returning his absence, then we need to display this one, so that there will be no need to enter the absence end date. Okay, and there is again another what to say validation which we can do an absence start date. Okay, so if you don't want the employees to enter future absences, like they can plan their absences only for a month or so. Only they can enter the future absences only till a month. Then we can again restrict it here. Okay. Okay, actually the similar box will open up here. Okay, wherein we can say what will be the duration till when you want to want the employee to enter the absences. Okay, say being today, I can plan my absence only till July or August, not more than that. When I try to enter the absence in September, then system won't allow me. Okay, and absence end date by default it is display and edit. Okay, and these are again supplement absence details. Usually we don't change anything, we leave it as it is. We have never used it, and I also don't know what is the importance of all this. Okay, so this is all about, so the major sections which we use is dates and duration in this particular section, and insufficient balance enrollment, it is very important. We usually keep forgetting enabling it, but it is very important that we enable it if we are not allowing the employee to take negative balance. And these two are important for approvals. Okay, and this is just a display feature, like how you want the absence, attachments and reasons to come in. Okay, so this is about the display features, lot of flexibility in display features. Next comes the action items. Okay, it is very simple step. Here what we do is we simply select the certification that we have created. That's it. Okay, and this is a place where we say it is enabled. Okay, attachments enabled. Unless and until this is enabled, the employee will not be able to attach any certificate to the absence. Okay, when we are entering the absence, a particular attach icon, that attachment icon will come, wherein we can go and upload. It can be of any format, PDF, Word document, Excel, it can be any format. Okay, so this is all about absence types. Okay, is it clear so far? Like we have seen absence plans and absence types together. Okay, now next shall we look into the approvals today, and then tomorrow we'll look into the later, rest of the things. Okay, today I'll take you through the approvals. Okay, the place where we set the approval. Shall we proceed, or you have any clarifications, any doubts? Okay, navigate to setup and maintenance. I'll show you the basic approval. Okay, there is again a lot of things available for the approvals. Okay, approval transactions. Okay, so the task is manage approval transactions for human capital management. Here we need to search for absence. Okay, so this is the global absence recording the process. Okay, if any of our approval has failed, it will come up here. Okay, and it will show like what is the reason for the like all the details will come here. When we click on the process, it will give what is the reason for what is the reason for failure. Okay, as of now, since there are no failed, nothing has come here. Then in order to configure, you just click on rules, configure. It is a very simple drag and drop screen. Okay, we have lot of flexibility available here. Like we can have a enterprise application role, approval groups. Like if you want instead of the management hierarchy or the supervisor manager hierarchy, you want to have certain approval groups. Okay, then you can use this. Okay, or if you want to have job level based line manager hierarchy, like if we are using the job hierarchy as well, then we can use this particular we can add it into our hierarchy. Okay, and by default we are using the management hierarchy. So if you see, okay, this is the seeded one which is provided. Okay, so we are using that one only. If you want to override this one, just keep this. You can delete this and add. It is just drag and drop, or you can just click on this plus, so it will come here. Okay, active. See, we can, if task is equal to task, that is it will always be true. That means it will always go for approval. Okay, so and then we are using the supervisor hierarchy. Okay, so here what if you can see what we can see is like action type is approval required, automatic approval, information only. Now in this case we need approval, so we are making it as approval required. Okay, root using what, like it is a line manager, since it is a management hierarchy. We cannot use the what to say custom manager types which we use. Okay, we can create like a line manager. We can create many different types of managers, right? But we cannot use that. It is only the seeded manager type which Oracle provides us. That is only the line manager. Okay, so approval chain of requester. Okay, so and start with the manager. The approval should start with whom? Manager. If you want to have more number of levels, like then you can add as many levels. Okay, so required number of levels and then the top approver. Who will be the top approver? Like whether it is the requester, user, manager. Obviously, it will be the manager. So this is a very simple, what to say, approval rule according to the manager hierarchy. Okay, if you want after this particular manager, first level of manager, if you want to route it to any particular user or any particular approval group, then you can add it as a role here. Okay, after this, then what is that you want to do? You can add another set of approval here. after manager you want certain group of employee, higher management or some admin or some HR user to approve it, then also we can add the approval groups. Okay, so it is very simple and it is just a...
Pushami Vasant here.
Yes, Vasant, yeah.
In the approvers, does the seeded approval groups, or we can bring our customized
We
approval
can bring
groups?
our custom groups.
Okay.
Okay, so what is that? There is a task for that. I'll show you that also. Okay, task configuration for human capital management. Okay, there we can create our own approval groups. Okay, this task will take us to the BPM. Before we used to use this for setting the approval as well, but now the drag and drop thing is working. Okay, here we can create our approval groups. Okay, in this. Okay, you can create static group, dynamic group. Okay, fine. Okay, so this is all for the day. So I hope you are clear so far. Like if you have any doubts, please let me know. Um, or shall we finish with the qualification plans as well so that we can do the absence scheduling and the absence processes overview tomorrow? If you're fine with it, like if it will be a very simple qualification plan, like what is that we are doing there. I'll just give you a brief outline of the qualification plan. Is that fine? Shall we proceed with the qualification plan for today? And then for tomorrow we'll do all the transactions and the absent management process overview, like the different processes involved. Okay. Okay, I came back to the absence administration. Uh, uh, like as I mentioned to you before, we have seen the accrual plans and we use qualification plans when we are setting certain type of qualification like for sick leave, maternity leave. If we take sick leave, we say that employee is eligible for full pay when he goes on leave for first 15 days in a year. Okay, and then next 30 days in the year will be half pay, and from there on employee will not get any pay. Okay, so before this we used to we used to capture everything in a UDT or whatever and do a calculation, but now what system has provided is, what Oracle has provided us is with the type known as the qualification plan, wherein we can say, okay, for what number of days the employee is eligible to go on leave and what will be the payment rate, okay, for those many days, and system will automatically calculate the payment percentage based on the payment rate or the payment percentage which we define in the qualification plan. Okay, so we usually use these qualification plans for sick leave and maternity leave, wherein we say employees eligible for so and so leaves with pay so and so payment percentage in a year. Okay, so now let's just go through it quickly. Like you will only see the difference in the screens, from accrual to qualification. Okay, let's just have a quick look. Okay, again same, manage absence plans. Okay, let us create one plan. So what happens is, whenever we create such type of plan, all the in the absence screen, when you go to an employee's absence screen, will automatically see there are different sections in the absence screen, like accrual screen, qualification screen, and no entitlement screen. Okay, so there it will automatically show, okay, how many days the employee is eligible to go with full pay, how many days with half pay, how many days with no pay. So it automatically shows that up once we create the plan. Okay, so plan type will be qualification. Okay, so let's give it any name. Again, here this particular section, if you see, okay, here in plan term you can see there are different options available when compared to the accrual plan. We have four different options, like absence duration. Okay, plan term. Like if it is only for that particular absence, you're creating this particular absence plan, then you select absence duration. Then there will be no other options. Okay, calendar year. This we usually select when the when the employer is paying the employee certain with certain payment percentage, for a few days in that particular year. Okay, so rolling backward and rolling forward. What this does is rolling backward, like from that absence start date, it will go back and look. If we select rolling backward, from that absence start date, it will go back and look like we have to. We have to define the term. Now, say if we say 1 year. Okay, from the absence start date, it will go back and look like for 1 year, it will look how many number of days he has gone on leave. Okay, it will always go back and see. Okay, rolling forward means it will go like it will look always for future absences. Okay, I am giving it as calendar year. So what will be the start of the year? Like plan term will be 1 year. Okay, so in 1 year, what will be the number of days that he will be eligible? So this is the same screen with little difference here on the plan term. Okay, so depending upon the requirement, we can use the plan term. In participation, this qualification date rule, it is very important. Like it will be like the absence start date. If we are using childbirth or placement, no, this is usually for maternity leave. So whenever, like when we select in the absence type, we have the pattern, right, childbirth or placement. When we select that pattern, okay, so then we have an option to enter the date, like when the actually childbirth has happened or when the actual adoption has taken. Okay, so on that date, this particular thing will be triggered. Okay, so enrollment, the employee will be enrolled. So usually we make it as absence start date. Here if you want to evaluate the remaining entitlement, then you check, even without the absence record, we check it. If we don't want to evaluate, like if we don't want to see the entitlement, then you don't check it. Like we want to see only when the employee is enrolled. Okay, then we uncheck it. Okay, entitlement end rule as of event. Okay, and on employment termination, terminate the entitlements. Yeah, that's the only option available here because it is not any accrual which is actually accruing or getting. It is just like employer is providing a flexibility to the employee, right? Okay, terminate the entitlement. Again, if eligibility section comes here, if you want to restrict, then we can set up eligibility here. Okay, and then entitlements. Yeah. This particular section will vary a little, if you can see, when compared to the when compared to the accrual. Again you have an option to write a formula, but usually we go for a matrix. Okay, here we have disable payment percentage override. Okay, if you remember, we have seen in the absence certifications, like, if the employee has not submitted the certificate, like if he has passed the due date, then revise, override the payment to 75%. That's how we have defined, right? So if you don't want that thing to happen, then we check this checkbox. Otherwise, we usually keep it open. I mean, we usually uncheck it so that the override of the payment will happen. Okay? Yeah. And the entitlement start date will be when the absence has started. Okay, and the qualification band matrix. Okay, this is where it is just a simple criteria which we give. Like if you want to say, based on length of service, the number of days the employee is eligible is varying. Okay, say if employee with more length of service is eligible to go on 30 days of leave with full pay and 45 days with half pay and rest no pay. Okay, so if there are certain conditions like that, then we define this criteria. Otherwise, we can simply give it as 1 equal to 1, so that all for all the employees this will apply. Okay, it is very similar to what we the criteria what we have defined in our accrual plan. Okay, I am making it simple so that this expression is all the time valid for all the employees. Okay, if you want to, if there is a specific requirement that it is based on grade, job, any requirement, any length of service, okay, then we can have it accordingly. So based on that, we can define the qualification details. Okay, this is for this band I'm defining. Okay, first sequence, detail name I'm saying full pay. Okay, 15 days, payment percentage will be 100. Okay, so for the first 15 days in that year, he will, when he goes on sick leave, he will get full pay. Detail name is half pay. So for next 30 days, he will receive half pay. And for rest of the days, it will be no pay. Okay, so this is how we define. Okay, this is all about the qualification band. Okay, you're getting it right. So here we are defining the qualification, like for how many days he will get full pay, for how many days he will get half pay and no pay. If you have another payment percentage, and the when we integrate this absence plan to payroll, the thing is that all this information is very beautifully transferred into the payroll, in the calculation card, and we can retrieve this percentage directly in our past formulas. There is no need for us to do the calculation again. Okay, so I'll show you those details as well. Like in the calculation card, there will be entry for each and every type of each and every absence, with saying that what is the payment percentage, how many number of days he has taken, what is from date and to date. All those details will be transferred when we integrate this absence plan to payroll. Okay, so this is about this particular entitlement screen. Okay. Once this is done, again this is the same thing what we have done in what to say, accrual plan, but it is little not so flexible. Rate definition, even though we have flexibility of formula and unpaid, somehow it doesn't work. It is very important that we associate a rate all the time. Okay, and the thing is, it is not that we have defined a rate here. In rate, we cannot achieve everything. Like the payment depends upon certain things, like on gross salary or on net salary or certain rate. The payment or the deduction, the absence deduction should happen. We cannot achieve everything through rate definition. Then what we can do is we can override what the seeded calculation is doing, and we can have our own logic. Okay, it is just that it is mandatory to associate absence rate definition to the absence plan for us to transfer the everything to the payroll. Okay, so it is not that we have to achieve everything here only. It is not it is not so restricted. It is more flexible. Okay, we can override this particular seeded calculation with our own calculation. Okay, so again same thing, integrate, yeah, and we need to select the element here. Okay, this is all about the qualification plan. And similarly, we associate the qualification plan to the absence type like we have seen it before. Okay. Is it clear so far? Any doubts? Yes, that's true. The practice is very important. And yeah, okay, sure. What you can do is you can practice it today and come back to me tomorrow with all your doubts, so that we can work on them tomorrow before starting tomorrow's session. Tomorrow we'll see practically what is happening. Now the setup part is done. Since the setup part is done, we'll go through the all the absence processes, like what are the various okay, sure. I'll show you more on approval tomorrow. Yeah, we can see more cases like one level of manager approval, and then it goes to the approval group. Okay, or a particular person. Okay, we can see one more example on that, definitely. Yeah, and we'll see all the overview of all the processes which are available, and see the absence recording. Okay, from an employee perspective, from manager, and also from HR admin perspective. Okay. Then I'll show you like how actually the absences are transferring to the payroll, so that you'll also get clarity on what is a calculation card and all that. And then when it comes to the payment or deductions, we'll go in detail when we have a payroll session. All right. So let's call it for a day. Okay. Okay, sure. Okay. Sure, sure, definitely I'll do that. Yeah. Okay, so yeah. So we'll have more cases tomorrow. Yeah. Sure, definitely. Yeah. Okay. Okay, then let's call it for a day. Then we'll start tomorrow again at 10:30. All right. Thank you, everyone. Okay, I'll place the PPT and also the Excel in our HCM training community, and also today's video also I'll place it in the HCM training community. Okay, and if I do have a lot of material. I hope you can get that material even from Metallic, but I'll share what all material I have, so that it will be easy and very helpful for you to do the setup and go through the processes, because this is one step, and doing the setup for payroll is another big step. So I'll definitely share all the documentation what I have and what we did so far for our clients. Okay, so that it will be easy for you to understand. Okay, I'll place everything in the HCM community, training community, and I'll send you a mail so that you can download and go through it. Okay, tomorrow we'll see more examples, so that we'll get more understanding of actually what we did now. All right, we'll see the absence entry from all different logins, so that we'll get more clear understanding of what is happening. All right.
Thank you, Pushami.
Okay, you're welcome. Yeah, thank you. See you all tomorrow. Yeah, bye.
Thank you, Jimmy. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.